I got the chance to drive Alice Cooper around. Yes, the Alice Cooper. This is a long time ago. If you've been watching these podcasts, you've heard me tell stories about different people, artists, famous people that I've met on my journey back during a time of my life where I was a runner. And a runner's really kind of just a gopher, works for a concert venue. And that's what I did for several years of my life. And I was working the Alice Cooper show, and I got the phone call. You got to go to the hotel and pick up Alice Cooper. So I was pretty excited about it. But let me just preface all this by saying there's an important thing to know. I was married at the time to my kid's mom, and she is very Christian. Yes, she's very Christian. She was raised in a Christian home. So this is something I was eventually going to have to tell her. Well, as it goes, I got into the family minivan. That's what I was driving at the time because when you have your own vehicle, sometimes you're asked to drive your own vehicle and to do these tasks. And so I was driving around in a minivan and I drove to the hotel to pick up Alice Cooper. Well, when I pull up under this awning thing at this fancy hotel, and out comes this guy who introduces himself. Forget his name, but whatever. He worked for Alice Cooper, and he was kind of scoping out the ride, this old this old minivan. So he was like, okay, fine, whatever. And then he opens up the passenger door and he says, I'll be right back. Well, the strangest thing, it's the middle of summer. He just opens up the door. I don't know what's happening. Front seat opens up the door. He comes back with this crate like thing, this box, steel crate, weird looking box. Really strange. He sets it on the front seat. And then he reaches in and he turns off my air conditioning. I'm like, what in the world of all the strangest things that could be happening right now? I didn't think a whole lot about it, didn't even ask questions. So here I'm sitting in the seat, and next thing I know, he's coming out, and Alice Cooper is with him. And they get into the back, and they close the sliding door. I said, okay, let's go. So I just started driving. I've got this huge crate, big box thing sitting on the front seat next to me. I'm like, what in the world is happening? So we're driving a little ways, and I try to make conversation with Alice Cooper. He's a really, you can tell he's a really nice guy, but he is focused. I'm bringing him to the concert venue where he's getting ready to perform. And so I imagine that he's just kind of in the zone or something. But when I tried to make conversation with him, all I really said was, do you want me to turn on the radio or something like that? And he responds, nicely. He says, no, I don't really want any music on right now. I'm getting prepared for my show and I like it to be kind of quiet. There's just always so much music in my life and there are times where I just need it to be quiet. I said, no worries, that's okay. So we're driving a little bit more and I'm a little chatty. I like to ask questions and talk. I'm curious and I break the silence and say, so, why did you turn off the air conditioner? I'm kind of curious about that. And Alice Cooper looks at the guy. The guy I can see in the rearview mirror. The guy says, you know, uh, in that box is Alice Cooper's snake. You probably saw that one coming. And he said, snakes don't like it cold. They get all slow and sleepy. So we like to keep it warm for the snake. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot that he has a snake. Obviously, he must got to carry that thing around with him a little bit. So I'm like, oh my gosh, not only did I pick up Alice Cooper, I picked up his snake and it's sitting on the front seat. So we're driving. Not a whole lot more is said. Okay. We get to the venue. Alice Cooper thanks me for the ride. He gets out. The guy grabs the box with the snake in it and takes it on into the venue. And of course, I go and wander around to the front and watch a little bit of a show. It was fun. It was fun to see him bring the snake out. And it was an Alice Cooper show. It was just what you would expect it to be. Well, after the show, now this is a Saturday night. The reason I know it's a Saturday night is because the next morning, when I'm at home and my kids are small, we're getting up and we're all getting ready for church. And we're all like, doing the family thing. And my wife says to me, "Well, how was your night last night?" I said, "Oh, had a pretty good night. Um, I worked the Alice Cooper show." Now, my wife, being the Christian woman that she is, was a little weirded out just at the idea that I said Alice Cooper. She was like, "Whoa." I was like, "Oh, yeah. Yes, she's not going to warm up to that idea very much." So we finish getting ready. We get kids loaded into the van. And it should also be said about my kid's mom that not only is she very Christian and, not much into the dark side, but she is also, and I mean Mach 10 level, terrified of snakes. I mean, just if you say snake, she's going to freak out. So I am armed with all of this knowledge. And we get into the minivan and kids are sitting in the seat. My twin daughters are sitting in the seat. My son's in the back. And I back out and I start to drive. And we're on our way to church. My wife in her Sunday best. And she says, "Oh, I can't believe that you worked the Alice Cooper concert." Just the idea of me working the show. And I decided I'm going to inform her about the rest of my evening. So as we're driving, I said, "Yeah, they asked me to go pick up Alice Cooper." And she said, "What? What? You had to go pick him up?" I said, "I did." And I picked him up in our minivan. She was like, "What? He was in this van?" I said, "Yeah, probably like 14 hours ago. And he sat right where our twin daughters are sitting right now." She was like, "Oh, what? No, no." I was like, "Yeah." I can imagine, in her mind, she might have been dealing with like, is there leftover, darkness or evilness or, in the van because Alice Cooper was in the van. She is not happy with this story. She was like, "Oh my gosh, that is terrible." I'm kind of laughing a little bit. And she's like, "That is not funny. It's terrible." Our daughters are sitting in the same seat that Alice Cooper was sitting in. I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, that's all true." So we're driving a little bit more. And I considered not telling her the other part, but I just couldn't help myself. I just couldn't leave it alone. I said, "Oh, where you're sitting?" She says, "Yes." I said, "That's where Alice Cooper's snake was sitting." She was like, "Ah!" She's like rolling down the window. Put her head out the window. She is freaking out. She wanted to jump out of the van. No! I'm like, snake sat right there, the same seat you're sitting in. And she was losing it. The kids were laughing. They didn't know who Alice Cooper was. But they thought they know their mother is terrified of snakes. And like, Daddy, you had a snake in here? I'm like, I sure did. It was a big one, too. So the highlight of meeting Alice Cooper for me was the fact that I had to tell my wife, who's terrified of snakes and a little weirded out by Alice Cooper, that I had them both in our minivan. Well, as you can see, the studio is starting to come together a little bit. And it's not done by any means. I have, soundboards in place. And last week I did a podcast basically just complaining about Dusty, my manager. He is putting the pressure on, telling me to get these shows done, and I have to get this studio finished. So I'm working in an unfinished studio, and to keep pumping out the podcasts because Dusty has to have them done. And I'm keep telling him, like, if you just give me a little time off where I don't have this on my brain and the pressure of knocking out another podcast, I'll be able to get it all finished. And then I'll be able to, bust out quite a few of them. But as it is right now, I have to stop. I have to stop putting all this together, which is a lot. There's a lot to do. I got a lot of cables to plug in. I got lights to put up. But Dusty, you think he cares? He doesn't care. He just wants me. He is like trying to abuse me with his words to motivate me. And you would think that I would just stand up for myself and just be like, hey, I'm just getting moved into this studio. You got to give me some time. You think I would just stand up and tell the truth and just say, is it really that important? But I can't do it. Can't do it. He terrifies me. He's got me. I think he wants to grab me by the neck sometimes and like, get them toes done. So whatever it is, he's got a spell on me or something. I don't know what it is, but he's got me doing these podcasts. And I guess in some ways I'm going to thank him for it because it is important to keep consistency and keep doing your thing if you're trying to grow your channel, which I am. And if you want to help me grow this channel, which would be very appreciated, all you have to do is just one tiny little thing. Press that like button. If you're watching this on YouTube, the like button is the thumbs up. That's the one. Hit that one. And then you can subscribe to the channel. All of those things are very helpful, and it doesn't take much time. So much appreciated. And I'll see you on next week's podcast when Dusty tries to tell me to hurry up and get another show done. And I'm terrified, so I'm going to do it.